This is Higher Maths, it's homework 5. We're looking at question 7 here, and we're going to be looking at drawing a graph of y equals 2 to the power of x. It's an exponential graph and its inverse. Mark important coordinates and label the curves appropriately. Okay, so I know that an exponential curve will be a curve that will be in that shape there. The inverse of the exponential will be a log graph, so I'm going to have a look at how I go about doing that. Right, if I really didn't know the shape of the graph and I didn't know the coordinates that, the important coordinates that we would plot for y is equal to 2x, I'd just make up a table, just like I would with any other straight line or curve, you know, to try to get x and y coordinates. So let's go and do that just now. So I'll have x values here, and on the bottom I'll have y values. And remember what the equation is, it's 2 to the power of x. So some values I could choose. I could choose 0, I could choose 1, and I could choose 2, and I'll put some negative values in once I've worked out these ones here. Okay, I'll use -1 and -2. So they'll give me my x coordinate, and when I work the y is equal to out here, that'll be my y coordinate. Right, so if I've got 0 for x, then into this equation would give me 2 to the power of 0, and anything to the power of 0 is going to be 1. So there's my first set of coordinates there. So that's 0, 1. Okay. For 1, if I substitute 1 into where x is up at the top here, that'll give me 2 to the power of 1, which is just equal to 2. So there's my next coordinate. So it's quite easy just to generate the coordinates from any numbers that I choose for x. For 2, so 2 to the power of 2 is going to be 4. So that's going to give me 2, 4. So there's 3 coordinates I could plot right away. When it's negative, you just need to be a wee bit more careful. So 2 to the power of -1. Remember, if we're going to use that in our indices work, we would take, if that was an x to the power of -1, it would be 1 over x to the power of 1. It's a 2 that's there, so what I'll do is I'll take the 2 down to the bottom, and it's to the power of 1. So that there just equals a half. Just 2 to the power of 1 is a half. My coordinate there is -1 and a half. Okay. Over here, if I've got -2 that I'm going to put in there, so 2 to the power of -2 is going to be equal to 1 over 2 to the power of +2, which gives me a quarter. So I've got another point there, so -2 and a quarter. Okay, so there's 5 points that I've already got, and what I could do is just draw the graph. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to at least, I'll go to up to 4. Okay, so let's go from here. So there's 1, 2, 3 and 4. That'd be 5 up to the top. That's my y direction there. And I'll go across this way here. So what we've got is just going across this way. Okay. This will be my x direction here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just got to 6. Okay, and this should show my curve clearly enough here. So 0 with the crossover, 1 when I step out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, -1, -2, -3, -1 down the way, -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and if I had another point up here, that would be 5. Right, so let's just plot the points that I've got. Let's go with 0, 1 first of all. 0 along the way, 1 up. There's my first one. 1, 2, 1, 2. And these points here are the key points that I'm going to use, because I really should know that y equals 2 to the power of x goes through 0, 1, and it also goes through 1, 2, because that's the 2 that's there. But I've plotted coordinates here, and I'll just put them together when I draw this all up. Going to the negative side, -1 1/2, so a half will be about there, and -2 a quarter, so that's going down a bit there. So let me just buzz this round a bit, and I'll draw this graph. Okay. Right, so what I should get is a graph that's like this here. So I'll just try and get it going through the points. It never touches this axis, but just keeps getting closer and closer and closer to it. So there's my graph there. And what I have here is the graph of y is equal to 2 to the power of x. So it's an exponential graph, an exponential growth, growing very, very, very quickly. This point here was one of my key ones. That was 1, 2. And this point here, 0, 1. That's the 2 points that I would be really needing to label on this diagram here. Right then, so that would be 2 marks for that I would expect for getting the shape of the graph correct and for labelling the coordinates correctly. I'm going to now draw its inverse. And remember, the inverse of a graph will just be cutting through the, will just be a reflection, if I can draw it from here, just trying to reach a bit, so just trying to get this correct. So it's going to be a reflection on the line, which is that dotted line there, which is y equals x. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and so on, okay? And it's a reflection over that. But an easy way to plot a graph that's like that is to take the y coordinate and make it the x, and make the x coordinate the y. So let's just reverse them round a bit. So if I'm going to graph the inverse, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change them round. So that's going to be a quarter minus 2, so that's my first point, a half, and minus 1. I've got 1 and 0, that's a key point, this one here, and 2, 1, the other key point that I've got, and I've got 4, 2. Okay, so let's just plot these very, very quickly. Okay, so starting with 1, 0, so there's one of my key points there, so that's going to be 1 and 0. I've got 2 and 1, 2, 1, so that's going to be 2, 1, key point, and I've got 4, 2, so 4 along and 2 up would get me there. Okay, so there we go. Looking at these ones here, so a half along, and I'm down to minus 1, so that's going to be there, and a quarter and minus 2, so that'll be there. So let's draw this graph. So this graph is going to go up from here. It's never going to touch this axis. It's going to come through there, through the points, and it's going to go away in that direction there. This one here, you should be knowing that the inverse of an exponential graph is actually a log graph. The base of the log is the number that we've got there, which is the 2, and we've got x there. So that's the graph drawn. I've labelled up the points, and that should get me the 4 marks that I'm looking for this question here. So it is really just a sketch, and if you know exactly what you're doing with that without drawing the table, what you can do is just plot your points and do your sketch. So one for getting the curve, okay, so drawing the curve. The other one for getting these points here. Another point for getting these, another mark for these, and for drawing the curve like that. So that's 4 marks for drawing an exponential graph and its inverse graph, a log graph.